Did you know that nearly 48 million Americans suffer from foodborne illnesses every single year, and sadly, more than 3,000 of them don't survive? Many of these victims are older adults. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, seniors are especially vulnerable because aging naturally weakens the immune system. What's even more concerning is that a lot of these illnesses don't come from eating bad food at a restaurant. They often start right at home, in the very place where we assume our food is safest, the refrigerator. That's right, your fridge, meant to preserve and protect your food, could actually be turning healthy staples into hazards without you realizing it. Recent studies show that when certain foods are stored improperly in cold environments, they not only lose essential nutrients but also become more prone to contamination, dangerous chemical changes, and spoilage. Yet many of us continue to refrigerate these items out of habit, thinking we're keeping them fresh, when in fact, we might be doing the opposite. Today, we're going to reveal 9 common foods you should never put in the fridge, especially if you're a senior concerned about maintaining your health, energy, and independence. And make sure you stay with us until the end, because the number 1 item is not only one of the most misunderstood, but could quietly be sabotaging your heart health without you even knowing. Before we dive in, take a moment to let us know in the comments where you're tuning in from. And if you find topics like this helpful, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and tap the notification bell so you never miss out on more essential health wisdom. Alright, let's get started with the first food on our list. Number 9, potatoes. Potatoes are a beloved kitchen staple, hearty, comforting, and found in almost every household. But refrigerating raw potatoes is one of the worst storage mistakes you can make. Here's why. When potatoes are exposed to cold temperatures, the natural starches inside them start to rapidly convert into sugar. That may not sound too alarming, but the real danger comes later. When those sugar-loaded potatoes are cooked, especially at high temperatures, think roasting or frying, they form a chemical compound called acrylamide. Acrylamide has been linked to cancer in animal studies, and while human research is ongoing, health experts agree it's best to minimize exposure as much as possible, especially for seniors who may already be dealing with inflammation or chronic conditions. Refrigerating potatoes also wrecks their taste and texture. Instead of being fluffy and flavorful, cold-stored potatoes become grainy, overly sweet, and darkened, signs that oxidation and nutrient loss have taken place. If you've ever roasted potatoes that tasted oddly sweet or found your mashed potatoes strangely watery, now you know why. The solution? Keep your potatoes in a cool, dark, dry space, like a pantry, cellar, or cupboard. Make sure there's ventilation to prevent moisture buildup, and avoid plastic bags, which can trap dampness and speed up spoilage. Remember, good storage isn't just about convenience, it's about protecting your food's quality, flavor, and safety. Next up on our list of foods you should never keep in the fridge might come as a big surprise, especially for those who want to stretch the life of their groceries a little longer. Number 8. Bread. Bread is a staple in most homes, comforting, filling, and easy to prepare. And if you're like many people, you may have assumed that popping your loaf into the refrigerator would keep it fresher, longer. Unfortunately, that's not the case, and doing so could actually cause your bread to spoil faster and even pose some health risks. Let's break down what's happening. When bread is exposed to cold temperatures, a chemical process called retrogradation kicks in. In simple terms, the starch molecules in the bread begin to reorganize and crystallize. This isn't something that takes weeks. It starts almost immediately after the bread hits the cold environment of your fridge. What does that mean for you? Your once soft, fluffy bread becomes tough, dry, and crumbly, much faster than if you had simply left it out at room temperature. It loses that delightful chewiness and develops a stale, unappetizing texture. Toasting it doesn't fully revive it either. The quality is simply gone. But there's a bigger issue beyond just taste and texture. When you refrigerate bread and then take it out to thaw or toast, moisture condenses on the surface. That moisture, combined with lingering cold pockets, creates the perfect breeding ground for mold growth. Moldy bread isn't just unpleasant. Certain types of mold can produce mycotoxins, toxic compounds that, when ingested, may lead to a range of health problems, including nausea, weakened immunity, and even liver issues over time. Seniors whose immune defenses are naturally lower are particularly at risk. In short, the fridge isn't saving your bread. It's setting it up for faster spoilage and hidden dangers. So what should you do instead? If you plan to eat your bread within a few days, keep it at room temperature in a bread box, cloth bag, or sealed container. Make sure the storage area is dry and away from direct sunlight. For longer-term storage, freezing is your best option. Slice the loaf first so you can pull out just what you need and place it in an airtight bag or container before freezing. This stops the staling process, halts mold growth, and preserves the bread's flavor and texture beautifully. Simply thaw slices at room temperature or give them a quick toast when you're ready to eat. You'll enjoy bread that tastes almost as fresh as the day you bought it, without exposing yourself to unnecessary risks. Small storage tweaks like these can make a huge difference, protecting not just your groceries, but your health as well. When organizing the refrigerator, it's easy to fall into the habit of tossing in anything that isn't sealed or shelf-stable. But as we're learning, not all fresh foods benefit from being kept cold, and in some cases, refrigeration can do more harm than good. Let's explore 2 foods that are frequently, but mistakenly, stored in the fridge. Number 7. Onions. At first glance, onions seem like they'd last forever. After all, they have that tough outer skin and a reputation for being low maintenance. But once you place them in the fridge, that resilience begins to fade. Refrigerators are cold and humid environments, and onions do not thrive under those conditions. The cold causes them to absorb moisture more easily, breaking down their firm structure and turning them soft, mushy, and eventually moldy. Even whole, unpeeled onions are at risk. And once they're sliced, the clock ticks even faster. Beyond spoilage, there's also the issue of odor transfer. Onions contain sulfur compounds that, when released, can sneak into nearby foods. If you've ever tasted onion-flavored butter or fruit from your fridge, you're not imagining it. Your refrigerator acts like a sponge for strong smells. Improperly stored onions can also develop surface bacteria, especially when cut and left in the fridge for too long. While the popular internet myth that onions absorb toxins isn't backed by science, it's still true that moist, exposed onions can harbor harmful bacteria, particularly if stored without airtight protection. So what's the solution? Whole onions are best kept in a dark, dry, and well-ventilated place, like a mesh basket in your pantry. Avoid plastic bags as they trap humidity. Once you've cut an onion, store it in a tightly sealed container in the fridge and use it within 1 or 2 days. Number 6. Tomatoes. Now let's talk about tomatoes, a beloved fruit that suffers significantly when refrigerated. Tomatoes come from warm climates and they don't appreciate the cold. When you store them in the fridge, the chilly air interrupts their natural ripening process. And that ripening is where their full flavor and texture are developed. Ever bitten into a tomato that felt rubbery, bland, or watery? That's the result of chilling. The cold damages enzymes responsible for taste and texture, leaving you with a fruit that's flat in flavor and oddly mealy in consistency. It gets worse. Tomatoes stored in the fridge also lose more of their vitamin C, a key antioxidant that supports immune health, especially important for older adults. Even the appearance suffers. The skin shrivels, the color dulls, and you're left wondering if it's even worth slicing up. To keep tomatoes delicious and nutritious, store them at room temperature, out of direct sunlight, and preferably stem side down. If they're still a bit firm, let them ripen fully on the counter. If they become overripe, try using them right away in a sauce or soup instead of refrigerating them. These 2 humble ingredients, onions and tomatoes, bring incredible flavor and health benefits to your meals. But when stored improperly, they lose much of their value. It's time to talk about 3 kitchen staples that almost everyone has on hand: garlic, coffee, and honey. Each of them offers impressive health benefits, especially for older adults. But if you've been refrigerating any of them, you could be drastically reducing their quality, or even introducing health risks you never considered. Let's break them down one by one. Number 5. Garlic. Garlic is often celebrated for its health-supporting compounds, especially allicin, a sulfur-based chemical that may help reduce blood pressure boost immunity, and even fight inflammation. But the fridge is no friend to garlic. Whole garlic bulbs are naturally designed to last for weeks, even months, at room temperature, when stored in a dry, cool, well-ventilated area. But once you move them into a cold, humid refrigerator, you trigger premature sprouting. This changes the texture and taste. Sprouted garlic becomes bitter, rubbery, and significantly less effective nutritionally. Worse yet, there's a serious food safety risk many people don't know about. When chopped or minced garlic is stored in oil, even in the fridge, it can create the perfect low-oxygen environment for a dangerous bacteria called Clostridium botulinum. This can lead to botulism, a rare but life-threatening illness that can cause paralysis. To stay safe, always store whole garlic bulbs in your pantry. If you need to store chopped garlic, keep it tightly sealed in vinegar or lemon juice, not oil, and use it within a few days. Number 4. Coffee. If you've ever tucked a bag of coffee beans into the refrigerator hoping to extend its shelf life, you're not alone. But this is a classic mistake that ruins your brew. Coffee is hygroscopic, meaning it absorbs moisture and odors from its environment. In your fridge, which is full of fruits, vegetables, and leftovers, coffee picks up surrounding scents and starts to lose its distinctive flavor. More importantly, the moisture in a refrigerator can cause condensation on your coffee grounds or beans every time the door is opened and closed. That leads to clumping, rapid staling, and even mold if the container isn't fully airtight. This doesn't just ruin the taste. Coffee contains antioxidants like chlorogenic acids that support heart and brain health. These compounds break down faster in cold, damp conditions, robbing your coffee of its health benefits. Instead, store coffee in an opaque, airtight container in a cool, dark cabinet. Keep it away from heat and humidity, and only grind what you plan to use within a few days. Number 3. Honey. This one surprises a lot of people. Honey should never go in the fridge. Honey is naturally antimicrobial and can last indefinitely if stored properly. But when you refrigerate it, the cold temperatures cause honey to crystallize, making it thick, gritty, and nearly impossible to scoop or spread. While crystallized honey isn't dangerous, it loses its smooth texture, and the repeated exposure to air and moisture, when opening and closing the jar, increases the risk of fermentation. Fermented honey can smell sour and lose its health-promoting enzymes. Even worse, refrigeration can degrade honey's natural antibacterial properties, the very compounds that make it such a valuable remedy for colds, coughs, and sore throats. The best way to store honey? Keep it tightly sealed in a glass jar in a dark pantry, away from heat and sunlight. No need for anything fancy, just a dry shelf and a cool room will do. We're now down to the final 2 entries on our list of everyday foods that should never be stored in the fridge, and they're big ones. These are staples that many seniors reach for daily, but they become far less beneficial, and in one case potentially harmful when stored in cold environments. Let's take a closer look. Number 2. Bananas. Bananas are often the go-to fruit for older adults. They're soft, easy to digest, and packed with potassium, a mineral essential for heart health, muscle function, and blood pressure regulation. But bananas are tropical fruits, and their biology is not built for the chill of a refrigerator. Here's what happens when you refrigerate them. If they're not fully ripe, the cold temperatures literally shut down the enzymes responsible for ripening. That means they may never develop their full flavor or texture, leaving you with a starchy, bland fruit. Worse, the skin darkens prematurely, turning gray or black, which is not just unappetizing but a sign of cold damage. If the banana is already ripe, refrigeration slows its decay slightly, but not without cost. Inside the peel, moisture buildup from the fridge environment can cause mold around the stem or create mushy, patchy textures. And more importantly, cold exposure depletes the banana's antioxidant content, including valuable compounds like dopamine and catechins, which support brain health and help manage oxidative stress, especially important for older adults. The best way to store bananas is on the counter at room temperature. If you have a bunch that's ripening too fast, peel and freeze them for smoothies, baking, or a healthy dessert. But don't toss them in the fridge expecting to extend their life. You'll be sacrificing both nutrition and quality. Number 1. Olive oil. The final, and perhaps most surprising, Entry on this list is olive oil. Olive oil is a hero of the Mediterranean diet, known for supporting cardiovascular health, reducing inflammation, and delivering beneficial fats to the body. But this golden elixir does not belong in your refrigerator. When olive oil is chilled, it undergoes a process called solidification, where the fatty acids begin to crystallize. The oil becomes cloudy, thick, and often partially solid. While this physical change isn't dangerous on its own, what happens next is, every time olive oil is moved between cold and warm temperatures, say, taking it out of the fridge to cook, then putting it back, it undergoes oxidative stress. This repetitive heating and cooling accelerates the breakdown of antioxidants and healthy fats. Over time, this can create free radicals, unstable compounds that damage cells and contribute to inflammation. This is particularly concerning for seniors, many of whom use olive oil to support joint health and manage chronic inflammation. Ironically, improper storage may be turning a health food into a contributor of the very conditions it's supposed to prevent. There's also the practical side. Chilled olive oil doesn't pour easily. It can lead to spills, inconsistent usage, and frustration in the kitchen, especially for those with limited grip strength or vision. The solution is simple. Store olive oil in a cool, dark cabinet in a tightly sealed glass or metal container, away from light, heat, and moisture. Stored properly, a high-quality olive oil can retain its flavor and health benefits for up to 2 years. Let's take a moment to reflect on what we've covered. It might seem like a simple thing, storing food properly, but as we've seen, small habits in the kitchen can have a huge impact on your well-being. For older adults in particular, these choices are critical. As the immune system becomes more sensitive and the body processes nutrients less efficiently, everything from taste to texture to nutritional value matters more than ever. So let's do a quick recap. These are the 9 everyday foods you should never keep in the fridge. Potatoes. Refrigeration turns their starch into sugar, increasing the risk of acrylamide when cooked. Bread. The cold speeds up staling and encourages mold growth once brought back to room temperature. Onions. Cold, damp environments lead to mushy textures and odor transfer to nearby foods. Tomatoes. Chilling stops ripening, degrades flavor, and lowers vitamin content. Garlic. Refrigeration can trigger sprouting, and when stored improperly in oil, even lead to botulism. Coffee. Moisture and odors in the fridge strip away flavor and health-boosting antioxidants. Honey. Cold causes crystallization, introduces moisture, and dulls honey's natural antibacterial powers. Bananas. Refrigerating stops ripening, blackens the skin, and reduces key brain-boosting antioxidants. Olive oil. Cold temps trigger solidification, and repeated warming degrades its heart-healthy properties. Now here's the important part. This isn't about fear. It's about empowerment. Once you understand how different foods respond to storage conditions, you can make simple changes that lead to safer, more nutritious meals and a better quality of life. So what can you do right now? Here are a few easy tips to get started. Take inventory of your fridge and pantry today. Look for any of the foods we discussed and consider whether they're stored correctly. Reorganize based on food type. For example, keep tropical fruits like bananas and avocados at room temperature. Store potatoes and onions in a cool, dark spot, never in plastic. Transfer bread to a bread box or freeze extra slices instead of keeping it cold. Store coffee in a tightly sealed, opaque container in a dark cupboard. Keep your olive oil in a cool pantry away from heat sources like the stove. Use labeled containers to keep track of chopped or perishable ingredients like garlic and onions, and consume them quickly. Making even a few of these changes can protect your digestive health, reduce your risk of foodborne illness, and help you get the most nutritional value from the foods you eat daily. Remember, your kitchen is more than just a place to cook. It's a space where your health begins. Now we'd love to hear from you. Have you been refrigerating any of these foods without realizing the risks? Which changes are you going to make today? Did any of these tips surprise you? Leave a comment below to share your experience. Your story might help someone else make a positive change too. And if you found this video helpful, please like it, subscribe to our channel, and share it with a friend or family member who might benefit from safer, smarter food storage. Thank you for spending this time with us. Stay healthy, Stay curious, and we'll see you in the next video.